Good evening, welcome to another edition of Alien TV. My name is Blondie Locks. Tonight, we bring you a great in-depth feature on Billy Meiers, a man famous for alien contacts. Indeed, the boss said he was a great man, needed to shave more maybe, but, with all his time travel and such, shaving probably took second place in his busy zipping around everywhere life. Our researcher Jimmy Bimmy Slimmy has the full lowdown, and so we'll pass you straight over as it's going to be a long but interesting feature. So over to you in Studio 3, Jimmy, and from me night now. Enjoy the presentation and catch you again soon. Bye for now.
Billy Meiers. The famous case files of this man who held a long contact with aliens and in whom they trusted to divulge a lot of Earth and space facts. Tonight we bring the full story to those new to this famous man's story and exploits. So let's begin. Billy Edward Albert Meiers claimed his first extraterrestrial contacts occurred in 1942 at the age of 5 with an elderly extraterrestrial man named Faith. Contacts with Faith lasted until 1953. Shortly before Faith passed away. From 1953 to 1964, Meiers' contacts continued with an extraterrestrial woman called Ascot, who is not a Pleiadian. Meier says that after an 11-year break, contacts resumed again, beginning on January 28, 1975, with an extraterrestrial woman named Semjace, the granddaughter of Faith. Meier says that he has also had many contacts with another Pleiadian man called Ta, starting in 1975 and continuing right up to the present day. He has claimed that he has also visited other worlds and galaxies along with another universe with these extraterrestrials. Meier claims that he was instructed to transcribe his conversations with the various extraterrestrials, most of which have been published in the German language. These books are referred to as the contact notes, or contact reports. Currently, there are 26 published volumes of the contact reports, titled Pleiadius Pleiadius Kontaktbericht. Some of the contact reports were translated into English, extensively edited and expurgated, and published in the out-of-print 4-volume set Message from the Pleiades, the contact notes of Edward Billy Meier by Meier case investigator Wendell C. Stevens. There are also many contact reports translated into English, unedited, by Benjamin Stevens. Meier's discussions with the Pleiadian are highly detailed and wide-ranging, dealing with subjects ranging from spirituality and the afterlife to the dangers of mainstream religions, human history, science and astronomical phenomena, ecology and environmental dangers caused by global overpopulation, in addition to prophecies and predictions of future events. One thing in all Billy Meier's claims and pictures is that not one has been proved to be fake, and as you will see later in the Alien TV broadcast, the still camera shots from inside his trips with the extraterrestrials, who took him back and around the galaxy, show some startling and thought-provoking reality shots. Sit back and enjoy the movie, which we think you will agree is very worthy of treating as genuine, but then still the non-believers with their heads stuck in the sand will no doubt shout and say it's not true. Thanks and good night from me and all the team at Alien TV. Enjoy the film and see you soon with another exclusive scoop.
En la historia de la investigación del fenómeno extraterrestre, el caso de Billy Meier, un granjero suizo, permanece aún como el más completo. Más de 105 fotografías y 8 películas de 8 milímetros fueron tomadas. Partes de metal y grabaciones de audio demuestran la fortaleza de este caso. Las advertencias y predicciones presentadas desde el año 1974 corroboran la autenticidad de la fantástica historia de Billy Meier, como el hecho de que se estaría abriendo un hoyo en la capa de ozono y que el gas de bromo y sus derivados eran los más peligrosos. A más de 30 años de haber comenzado esta historia, aún se mantiene como una de las más importantes y espectaculares en la investigación del fenómeno OVNI.
Each human on Earth and each human over the whole universe has different vibrations. The vibrations of human is made out of his thinking. Themselves, they are something like magnetic electrical waves. and they are turning from human to human, from planet to planet, and over the whole space of the universe.
When entering your terrestrial state, we must make an adjustment in our vibrational patterns. It is similar to you adjusting the fine-tuning on your communications devices. In our case, it allows for the clear perception necessary for an exchange to take place.
The time 78. An unusual team of people makes its way to a secret rendezvous. Their goal, a tiny mountain village named Schmidt-Rutti. Head of the team is Lee Elders. Based in Phoenix, Arizona, he runs a company called Intercept that deals in industrial counter-espionage. Britt Elders, his wife and partner in Intercept, specializes in electronics. The third member of the team, also a partner and longtime associate, is Tom Welsh. They were brought here by Wendell Stevens, retired Air Force colonel and for over 20 years one of the world's leading UFO investigators. Their mission? To check out one of the most remarkable UFO cases ever reported. One that has been called alternately too good to be true, the hoax of the century, or the start of a new age for humankind. Stevens leads them over a circuitous route, winding through back roads and stopping often along the way.
Why all the precautions?
Well, I didn't want to tell you this before, but this man's been shot at.
Shot at?
Yeah, somebody's trying to kill him.
Why?
I don't know. There's some people are spooked by this whole thing, and he's being threatened.
Thus begins what was to become a 5-year investigation. Before it is over, they will be embroiled in controversy and forced to use every resource at their command.
Hi, Billy.
Okay.
Yeah. I brought the friend's been telling you about. This is Britt Elders.
Hi. Good to meet you.
Lee Elders.
His name is Edward Meier. He is called Billy, an old nickname that sprang from his fondness for heroes of the American West. Buffalo Bill, Wild Bill, and Billy the Kid. He is a farmer. He claims he has been in contact with beings from another world.
Thank you.
He also claims to have proof of these contacts.
Mr. Meier, when did the experiences begin? The contact begins on January 28, 1975 in Hinwil. How did it happen? What made you go outside into the forest? I got something like a very light voice in my head. I heard something to leave the house, to go out and to take a photo camera with me. So I left my house, and then when I was far outside from the village, I heard a singing noise in the sky, and when I was looking up there, I heard this disc was flying over the clouds, and then it came to the point where I was staying with my motorcycle. Then slowly it came lower and lower and settled down between the white trees and the forest there behind.
Meier later photographs the impressions left by the disc's tripod landing gear. The grass has been pressed and swirled in a counterclockwise direction. Even a year later, the grass has not sprung back, but Meier notes that the impressions swarm with insect life.
Then I have seen a person who came out of the disc.
Person came out?
Yeah. I have seen that it is a woman.
Mr. Meier, what did they look like?
She looks like a human from this earth. Like you, like I, like human beings from this earth.
You call us extraterrestrials. You attribute to us superhuman powers, but we are like far removed from perfection and must evolve constantly, just like yourselves.
After the first words, we turned and was going to this
Three here.
You walked over here?
Yeah.
Sit down.
And you sat here and talked to her?
Yeah, then we was talking here for about 1 hour or 1 hour and a quarter, something like that.
Did she give you a name? What did you call her?
Yeah, she told me her name is Semyase.
Semyase?
Yeah.
Billy, what kind of feeling did you have sitting here under this tree with a woman who just landed in a spacecraft?
I wasn't afraid about these things. I was afraid about the army only. Somewhere there behind the forest. But I wasn't afraid about the disc.
Where do they come from, Mr. Meier?
They shall be coming from the star picture of the Pleiades.
The Pleiades, a bright star cluster some 500 light-years from Earth. Although the cluster consists of hundreds of stars, 7 stand out clearly to the naked eye. The Greeks call them, we call them the 7 Sisters.
What was going through your mind? What did you want to talk about?
You see, my head was full of questions, but the most of the time she was telling me, and I hadn't many chances to ask her something.
Several times we have tried to establish contact with Earth humans, but usually those selected were not willing. They were afraid others would consider them liars, mad, or would try to destroy them.
You see, the first she told me I shall get the most best pictures of UFOs, what's ever happened on Earth. The second thing, I shall go out to tell the truth to the human on Earth, why they are coming to here, what reason they have, that they are coming to Earth not to harm us, not to make war, not to bring peace.
Why are they interested in us, a society thousands of years behind them in technological development? According to Meier, we share common ancestors. Their forefathers were our forefathers. We are, in a sense, family.
This is the place, Bergerumlikon, where I took that picture.
Show us how you took the picture, Billy.
Oh.
Meier takes the team to other contact sites and demonstrates how he operates his cameras.
I have here a small wheel to turn the film, and I shall get the picture. You see, on this way I put on my camera.
We're taking movies, right?
With a film camera on a tripod, Meier can shoot stills with his 35mm camera at the same time.
And then I can got the movie when was the ship hanging there up, and when it after was jumping.
By jumping, Meier means the ship disappears and reappears.
From that, I always got the electrical hit.
By electrical hit, Meier means an electric shock. He also noted a light shift at each event.
On this place I had one...
Meier takes the investigators to over a dozen sites, describing the craft, which he calls beam, the information he says the Pleiadians gave him.
You see here, you see there the road, and on the middle of the distance to the road was the ship hanging in the air and bubbling in a very strong wind. And in the background on the road was driving cars from Teilingen to Rumlikon and from Rumlikon to Teilingen. But if something about the ship out of the cars, I don't know.
You didn't hear anything after that?
No, not once.
Guido Moosbrugger is not a neighbor. He lives about 2 hours away in Austria. He heard about the Meier experiences and came to see for himself.
Have you ever had any experience with Billy in connection with these things that are going on here?
Yes, I have seen a few demonstrations myself, especially at night, and was present at the landing site doing one landing, and I saw other things. A lot of things happened in those 6 years.
You have seen things with your own eyes. Did you ever photograph anything?
I was allowed 2 times to photograph at night. As we sat inside the car, we saw all of a sudden to the north, above the meadow, out of nowhere, a fire-red disc, about as large as a headlight.
And then what happened?
And then it suddenly disappeared. Then there was a short pause, after which, at the same place again, appeared all of a sudden a silvery white ball. Then there was another pause, and then the same ball appeared again. It flew toward us, got larger and larger, then shrunk, collapsed, and then, like magic, it was gone. And best of all,
furious pace,
it
sometimes
looked like
2
a
or 3
shower
a
of
week.
sparks.
Meier claims to have had over 130 meetings. He has taken hundreds of photographs and has over 3,000 pages of notes.
For a long time, we've had an urge to contact someone who sincerely wants to be helpful in our mission. Here and there, we open such contacts with inhabitants of different worlds, but only when they have developed enough to become rational, thinking beings. Then we prepare them for the thought that they are not the only rational, thinking beings in the universe.
Listen here.
Wow. You recorded that here?
My wife recorded this one here, and in the meantime, I've been there down very with the other recorder.
You had another recorder down
Yes.
there. How high was the ship above you?
About 60 meters.
60 meters. How far would you estimate it is from here down there today?
I think some 300 meters.
The sounds bear no resemblance to anything. Meier gives him both tapes for analysis.
How do they contact you, Billy? How do you know to go out and meet them?
Yeah, that's a simple way. If I hear the order in my head to go to a contact, then I leave the house or just the place where I'm staying at the moment, and then they will guide me to the place where they pick up me.
You say they're advanced technologically. How far ahead of us advanced are they?
They are about 3,500 years in their experiences about technology.
They study us because we represent an earlier stage of their own evolution. They made a very interesting observation at one point. They said that if we could now concentrate Earth's energies and resources, we could achieve all that they can do now in about 300 years of our time.
Yeah.
If you've been in the ship, why not photographs inside of the Pleiadians themselves?
It's impossible to make it because there are powers inside. They always break the film.
He's taken a number of rolls of film, and when they're developed, they're usually black. They've got anything that's wavy lines through it.
So you're
I lose it so hundreds of films.
Why are they here now, and what do they want?
You see, they don't come here to harm us. They don't come to start trouble here or war or to overtake the earth in their ruling. They just see us here as their little brothers or something like that. And they want to bring the real teaching of the natural life and of the spiritual belonging, spiritual teaching, spiritual life, and all this.
But they must want something from us.
They just want nothing.
Nothing.
You see, for the human on earth, it's impossible to believe this, but that's really the truth. They just want nothing from the humans on earth.
The session goes on for hours. To every question, Meier has an answer. The investigators are unable to shake him or to find flaws in his story. Overwhelmed by the evidence they have gathered, the team meets to plan the next stage of the investigation.
We're getting it all. We'll leave tonight? Yeah. Okay, on Meier, I think Meier is a very sincere and honest type person. What do you think, Steve?
Has anything changed since you were here?
The man seems to be the same, but there's some things changing around him. He's better off. He's got more people around him. More things are happening, but he still is basically sincere.
What about the psychological aspects to the man?
Do you think it's possible that he's a little schizoid? I mean, it's difficult to tell if what he's saying, the Pleiadians are telling him, is actually coming from them or coming from him.
How do you determine that?
Well, we can never prove
Too many
that
other people involved.
aspect of the case.
Others have seen the same thing. There's a terrific cross-section of people here. You've got a school teacher, you've got a commercial pilot, you've got a businessman, you've got a CPA. They're as good as any average cross-section of society we've got, and they all tested him themselves to their own satisfaction.
Well, I think we ought to go back and throw the book at this one. Everything we can, top technology we can get involved. I think we ought to let the chips fall where we may and just see what we find.
We're going to run down and say goodbye to Meier, and we'll tell him goodbye for you.
Give him my best.
Okay.
I'll see you later.
They've done what they can here. Meier has turned over all his material, but he has one more surprise in store.
So we want to thank you for all your time and trouble.
Oh, yeah. Okay, just a moment, wait.
Hey?
I have you something.
Ah,
Here.
what's this?
Metal samples.
Metal samples?
Yeah.
Where did you get these?
I got it from Symbiose, and she brought them from Era.
Are they extraterrestrial?
Metal samples. The kind of hard evidence Stevens had hoped for.
We got the Vogel tape in.
Great.
Back in Phoenix, the investigators begin to sort out the mass of material Meier gave them. There are hundreds of photographs, the 8mm films, sound tapes of the beam ships, and the fragments of metal. They know they will have to call in scientists from a variety of fields to help assess the evidence. The task appears monumental.
Hey, Tom, what's up? Just got this back. We sent this photograph over to Neil Davies. Just got his report back.
Neil Davis.
Physicist, aerospace industry subcontractor.
Right, okay, got it.
Examined the photograph with microdensitometer. Also, these you're seeing here are the black and white color separations that he did, and let's see what the results were here. Examination of these plots did not reveal any details which would cast doubt upon the authenticity of the photograph. And there's more. Color copy negatives, color separation. Nothing was found to indicate a hoax. And his conclusion is even more interesting. Let's see, black specks. Nothing was found in the examination of this print which could is anything other than a large object photographed at distance from the camera.
Meier reported 6 different configurations of Pleiadian beam ships. Davis analyzed what the investigators designated as Variation 2. Variation 3 now goes to computer analyst Jim DiLitosa.
This is the new picture that we digitized last week. Using the microdensitometer, we transferred it over to floppy disk here. Have you found any anomalies yet? Of any kind? Anything? I find strange things, but nothing that would tell me that someone's tampered with the pictures. I see. Indicating a hoax method or indicating superimposition or anything like that? Nothing that I can find. Have you been working on the grain at all yet? Yeah, I have. Well, what are we seeing here? What we're seeing here is that the film grain holds up the way that it should. In the pixel distortion test, it appears to me and to the computer that this object was photographed in the same original piece of film at the same time that the background
Stevens takes the metal fragments to be examined under the electronic spectrometer to determine their components.
Typical looking area in the sample.
Preliminary examination of the metal has been done in Switzerland.
And we've got little marker bars here that we can line up on each peak as they come up. This one indicates we have silver there. Over here, let's We got some copper, small amount of copper. That looks like about all that's in here at the moment.
The big band here is silver, though.
The big one is silver.
Later analysis of other fragments also reveals small amounts of thulium, a rare earth element that is difficult and costly to extract here.
This is one of the...
Because of the unusual nature of the findings, the fragments are given to chemist Marcel Vogel, an expert in crystalline structures and inventor of many substances used in computer components.
The first specimen I looked at is a metal specimen, which I classified as F1. This is the appearance that it looked at, rather golden colored on one side, silvery colored here. We find that, in truth, it is silver and a small amount of copper. We look at it here, this same area here, under polarized light. What is unusual of this small specimen is both highly crystalline nature, and suddenly we come to a metal section as we see here, and it showed a combination of metals that I've not encountered in any normal bit of metallurgy, both crystalline deposits and metal. Now, we, with any technology that I know of, could not achieve this on this Earth's plane. I could not explain the type of material that I have and its discreteness by any known combination of materials. I could not put it together myself as a scientist. It's also a challenge because I showed it to one of my friends who was a metallurgist, and he shook his head. He said, I don't see how it can be put together. And we find that in this area there is evidence of machining, that there are striations which look like the sample has been worked mechanically. It doesn't look like anything that we've made here. At this moment, I would feel very much inclined to accept what was given to me as being...
Stretch them out because it becomes very clear. Pixels, these little squares, like building blocks, and pretty easy to count. So this one ranges from 5 to 7 pixels wide, this edge. So we have our range here is from 6 to 8. Now what this tells us in looking at all of the edges on the object is, first of all, that it's not a flat piece of plywood hung in the air, or it's not a paste up that was done. It actually has shape to it. And in this case, a very wide range, which has to do with focus. Some of the object is more in focus than other parts of the object, which tells me right off at that point that we're dealing with something of size to it.
There are new photos too, and more film. In some, the beam ship hovers by a tree. Meier says they use trees as a kind of magnetic ground. 2 or more ships in the same shot are almost unheard of in UFO photos. Meier has dozens of such pictures. Ships below a horizon line, such as a hill, are even rarer. In this photo, a Variation 2 ship controls a smaller unmanned drone ship, designated as Variation 5. In one demonstration, a Variation 3 ship exhibits a behavior Stevens has seen before.
We have often reported a nipping flight. We also have a wobbling flight, where it wobbles around a vertical axis.
The bobbing effect, Meier explains, is due to the ship riding the waves of the Earth's magnetic field, much as a boat on the ocean.
What size is that ship, Billy?
They told me it's 7 meters.
One of the most frequent spots for the contacts is Obersadeleg, a wide valley just 10 minutes from the farm at Schmidruti. Here, Meier took one of his most spectacular photographs.
Between both roads. And you can see here these lighty trees here. That's there up. And here on the left side, this hill. What's happened there behind. And the trees here down. That one there. Yeah.
Okay, then
Is this, where did this come in?
This picture I took there. If you go left side a little bit, here, if you go down, like this way here.
The beam ship stayed in the area for almost 20 minutes, flying slowly, often skimming the treetops, sometimes just hovering in place.
And the ship was a little behind them when I took this picture. And just now, the trees are growing up in the last months. They are about 1.5 or 2 meters higher than at that time when I took this picture.
Then where did it move?
It left that place to the left side.
Something like...
Yeah.
Like this?
And then it was moving over there. You see here the small tree where it's happened there. And this one, that's that there.
Did it come across in front of the trees like this?
Yes, yes. And you can see there behind left side of this one, this tree, the higher one there.
Yeah.
And after this picture, I got the other one to that position there.
Further over?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I think we got another one in here now.
Yeah.
One in between there, right?
I had to go back a little bit, there down, and from there I took the picture. That's the tree there down, what you can see.
The investigators are impressed by the vastness of the valley, the steep drops and the obvious difficulty of hanging models from anywhere to fake the pictures. The incident occurred at Schmabühl. Meier claims the jet made 22 passes at the beam ship. Computer analysis using the information from a known object, the Mirage fighter, shows again that the beam ship is the size and distance Meier claims. Much of Meier's film has been lost or stolen, but the remaining sequences are, as promised, the most astonishing ever released. In one demonstration, the beam ship flies around a tree, which can be seen to sway in the backwash. Once again, in slow motion. Even slower. Later, Semyasi brings a new beam ship to pose for Meier's cameras, a variation quite unlike anything he has seen before. She explains, as best he can understand it, the function of the spheres for propulsion of the craft in interstellar travel. The sound of the new beam ship shows marked differences to the sounds of the other variation craft. Meier tapes these as well. The tapes are taken to electronics consultant Niels Rognerud and sound engineer Steve Ambrose for examination.
The frequency components of the signal.
Yeah, what does this mean when they're all together like that?
What you have is you have many tones happening at the same time, and right now they're aligned. Now they're disaligning. They're out of alignment. They're very much out of alignment. Now they're starting to centralize on one. It's not as though maybe before you had 10 different frequencies at random and then all of a sudden 9 dropped out and you only had 1 left. What's happening is the 10 different frequencies are converging on one central frequency, which is, I find, very interesting. This is probably one of the most interesting things about the tape is that there are...
What's this right now?
Very, very many tones.
Yeah.
And they're all changing very fast.
For a moment there, we were looking in and we had 3 evenly spaced frequencies. See it there again?
Yeah, you got me again.
Yeah.
Niels, would it be possible to recreate this sound?
To be honest with you, I personally don't think so. There are not synthesizers on the market that have oscillators that change that randomly. Even if you got 9 or 10 of them going, they wouldn't change from those peaks that quickly.
So a significant thing is this rate of change.
Well, and besides, if you were going to create a noise for a spaceship, you'd be hard put to come up with something as original as this. There's another alignment there.
The team had shown the Meier material to a variety of experts in an attempt to learn if any of it could be duplicated. They estimated it would require expertise in at least a dozen different fields, including metallurgy, astronomy, ancient history, and psychology. The panel concluded it would take over 10,000 man-hours and cost in excess of $1 million to duplicate the evidence Meier has. At that, the computer could still spot any fabrication.
When we bought this center here, it was a picture like at the World War II end, and when we bought it, nobody of us had any money. We was working practically day and night for several years, many times 22, 23 hours a day. And so we built it up, everything here up on the land, and so it grows slowly, but it's all real, our handwork.
You have whole organizations which investigate our beam ships, but they have little material which is really authentic. However, the authorities already know much about our existence, but they continue to deny the fact of our existence, or even the fact of their research. They want only to rule the cosmos, but they are not even able to create on Earth peace among themselves.
Many of those who come seek answers, assurance, even the promise that someone or something will save us.
If we want peace and knowledge and love and everything here on Earth, we have to change everything by ourselves as human beings.
Here's a picture of Mars. By the way, this is not a professional tape. As you can see, these pictures are in a picture album, and I've just got my camcorder out, and Wendell and I are flipping through the pictures. So this is not a produced tape for you to look at. So it'll probably never be on the market, but at least you get a chance to see some of these pictures. This is Mars just from a different direction with the sun very bright on it. Now, here is Mars, but here's one of these satellites. It's in orbit around Mars, made on Earth, unannounced, and is in orbit. This is the spring of 1976, and this device is in orbit around Mars. I don't know exactly who made it or who put it up there. Here's another one. This is Mars again, and here's the light panels, solar panels, and the satellite equipment in orbit around Mars again. This is a different one. This is a dust storm on Mars. Billy wanted to get close and try to take pictures of artifacts. You've all heard about some of the Sidona Plaza on Mars, about the face on Mars that Richard Hoagland and other people have been looking into. Billy published a paper back in the 70s talking about that. There was a race of people lived on Mars. They had a terrible catastrophe about 186,000 years back. At the time, there was about 40 million people killed on Mars, and they're all gone now, of course. So there were societies there, and we will find quite a few remains of their civilization once we get up there. Here he's on board one of their large motherships. This is the side or the edge of a saucer that was parked inside as he was walking by it. Here's Jupiter. Here's the mothership in orbit. They're flying into it to go aboard. It was 17 miles high and about 10 miles in diameter. He spent 3 days on it. They went to different places in our galaxy to show him around. This was the craft that was right in front of him as they were flying into it. He took a picture of that one. Here, again, is back at Mars. These aren't in any particular order. Here's another object in orbit around Mars. And look, here's an American flag on it. So there's a couple of things that they put up there that the military's put up that we don't know about. This is a picture of Billy in a suit. He's on a prehistoric planet to see the dinosaurs. He's got a breathing apparatus on. This is a Pleiadian man, and they've stepped outside of the ship so he can see the animal life on this prehistoric world. Got his picture taken too. That's pretty good. This jumps back here to, remember the Apollo-Soyuz hookup, us and the Russians back in '76? Billy asked him if he could go up and watch it. They said okay. They took him up. There's several pictures here of the Apollo-Soyuz hooking up with Earth in the background. Some of the wildest pictures he's got. I mean, just look at the vantage point. The planet's in the background. How else would you get this picture unless you were up there at that particular vantage point? Not a lot of people have that in their photo albums, you know. You can imagine the people at NASA would crack up, you know, if you... They'd probably find it a little hard to believe at first, but they don't have pictures like this. Here it is when it's just hooked up. There's Earth in the background, and here's the two capsules coming together. This is the top of the mothership. There's windows, but there was nobody in the windows as they came into it. We really missed out here. Billy shot, he said, 3 or 4 rolls of film inside the mothership, talking to people and going up and down the halls and so forth. He lost all of the pictures. They were all stolen from him. We've only got 2 or 3 of them left, and they're really practically nothing. This is a prehistoric Earth. They're back in time. That's Earth in the background. That's a moon in front of Earth, and he's looking over the surface of another moon. At that point, they told him there were 2 moons in orbit around planet Earth. We think we're about 60 million years back. Here's another picture over the surface. Neither one of those moons is currently the moon that's in orbit now. The moon that's in our orbit now, they say, has only been there around 5 million years. Look at this one. This is another piece of equipment in orbit around Mars, and it's huge. It's like a space station. And it's in orbit around the planet. It's also from Earth. We haven't heard anything about that, have we? Here's the dinosaur pictures. Billy's back inside the ship, and there's a viewing screen in the craft, and he says he's taking these pictures. Here's our first dino. He's got kind of gold-brown skin, got large hind legs, short forelegs, and a head that looks kind of amphibian, like a vegetarian type. Here's the second one. There's a bird here apparently dropping some food or something. Is that Charles? Charles dropped his food. This one's pretty hard to see. Here's the head of some sort of creature crashing through some bushes here. It's hard to tell. I know it's probably hard to see these anyway from back there, but just the idea that someone could actually go back in time just really gets my brain going. There's a bird. There's his eyes, some pretty nasty looking teeth. And the last picture after this one is the strangest of all. It's a plant that has an insect head. Billy calls it a plantum. They were trying to explain to him how the evolution of different life forms goes. How, for instance, here's a plant life when the plants are the food kingdom of the world. When the plants evolve to a certain level of evolution, then these lower order forms, here's a small head, and this head is a plant. Here's these 2 little eyes. It's an insect, the beginning of insect life on the planet when the food kingdom has evolved high enough. There are 7 different stages, they say, of spiritual energies or creational energies on a planet that create the many different kinds of life forms. There's a transition from one kind to the next. Ours is the 7th or the last one. We have to wait until the animal kingdom has raised the evolution of the body material high enough so our cycles can start.